位觀眾大家好 Welcome 13 of you lurkers. You're here very early and I'm glad. I want to kickstart my discussion. I would call it discussion, but maybe it's just me rambling and ranting, but there is no guarantee. I have no idea what I'm going to go through, what mental state I'll be in as this continues, but I'll just spend a few minutes saying hello to everyone. Daisho, good morning. Phantom Crustration, good morning. Wispy, good morning. Zephyr, shut up. Zero, good morning. Sub Atomic, good morning. Ash, good morning. Wasin, welcome. Good morning too. Who protects the kids protectors? We will see about that. Wispy Heil, yes. It's gonna be a few minutes, unfortunately. Not enough lurkers have turned in yet. I'll probably give I can't afford to give too much waiting time for the lurkers for more lurkers to turn in. I'll give about 5 minutes maximum. 5 minutes maximum before I actually have to start. And now I've got some things I need to announce to you all. It's not important, but it's just something to note for today's stream. Good morning, Cyborg. I'll give them a few minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to relax myself a bit and play some cursed music. But it's not cursed music, it's pretty good. It's actually pretty good. 俾我睇下幾和看. I was following this song. This is really, really cool. I suppose you all heard of Sky is Your God, right? Lucas, have you all heard of Sky is Your God? You probably heard. I played 2 of their songs. Let me type the name in. He is a very grimy mainland rapper. You heard of him? Sky is Your God? Let me just one of his famous songs is 大抢红薯. You remember that? You remember that song? The one where he's had Dainifa as the background music. Good morning, Lurka-chan. Oh, what a shame. Well, I can't possibly play. I can't play his original song. I'll show you all the link. Play in your own time. In your own time, maybe you spend you listen to the first 1 minute of this song and let me know. You just listen to the first 1 minute of this song in your own time. You just open a different tab on YouTube. And then, let me see. Is your God? Where is your God? 小红书, their Blueprint Supreme, yes. So just 1 minute. After that, I want to play some other different song for you. Only 1 minute. Just play for 1 minute, and then after that, let me know when you are ready because I want to play a different version. And it's a shock. It's a shocker. Anyway, for all of you lurkers, now I'll let y'all play the music first. Let y'all listen to the music first before you start. Before I start giving a bit of housekeeping. Just for a while. After that, we'll get to it. Let me know when you all have listened to the 1 minute mark. Because I want to play something else that is a bit shocking. Let me just go to it first. There we go. Ready. Let me know when you're ready. Just by the way, it's in a quiet taste, and I don't know why I found it so funny, but I found it funny. It's probably not funny to you all, but it's funny to me. You all listened? You all listened to that 1 minute part of that video I sent you? Ah, well. I'm gonna start anyway. Okay, now time to pause, lurkers. Time to pause. I've given you all enough time. I'll just play it for like, once we reach the 10-minute mark of the stream time, I'm gonna get started. But this is just a little bit of a starting teaser. Or well, it's not teaser, it's something stupid that I found. Stupid but cool at the same time. Let's play this.
夜市里面唱 K， 水池里面饮龙鱼。我送阿叔茶具，他也抹下笔，直接给我4个字：大展宏图，大肆亲手提笔字。大展宏图，搬来放在办公室。大展宏图，关公都点头。有运不能总是当头，因为啦啦啦啦啦。他说要玩就要玩得大，玩得大点，飞船越大老鼠才坐得下。得罪小人没关系，得罪君子我看不起。世上君子不贪杯，等于得罪了道。黑灰蓝白道亦有道，逆流才会水涨船高。大才入名的人没有义。我说是对兄弟，不是 pussy。See upcoming rap shows, get tickets for your favorite artists. You might also like Lalowski.
I'll show you what this is. I can't believe I saw this. Yes, it is. Is she post? I am shocked by the quality of this AI cover actually. Don't worry about this. This is AI cover. Look at Chan. There is no... Because it's AI cover and the music is completely AI generated, it should not trigger anything copyright related. Just like the Yasuke simulator, it is completely AI generated. 历史还是 AMG A 到 E 有道，不是墙头的头。别这里面唱 K， 水池里面饮龙鱼。我送阿叔茶具，他也抹下笔，直接给我4个字：大展宏图，大肆亲手提笔字。大展宏图，搬来放在办公室。大展宏图，关公都点头。鸿运不能总是当头。
小北套进我的河，帝女花是我的 California 乐，听人间味跟白水仙白云吃个农家乐，太平关系餐厅搬了，但精气神还在这，敌人幻想鞭炮莫像烧腊店的外卖盒，路上买个酒业绩，火锅里烫个娃娃菜，那宵夜来自大排档，我们却被人当大牌，广东人还北京唱出粤语 rap man we stand up， 花 stand 到快丢可丢到可阿妈都认得，海珠江 skirt 到我在龙舟，然后再不同样凉茶，中华小当家，广东在头球流 trendsetter， 海盐大河 CD 箱子间背着，在那 SPA 有一次水一直必须够干净，这是潜规则，老子豪绝不会变为了擦手抱下风，一点吹着是的，从此绝对是那无锡的。
Well, this is a pretty cool song. Okay, 10-minute mark. You got your 10-minute mark. Well, worst comes to worst, I'll just cut off that part of the stream anyway. Okay, I'm gonna get started. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we actually start. Today's stream will be a bit more focused and a bit more, I would say, short, partially because I want to keep the topic very on point, as I can make it on point, okay? And secondly is today I have some things that I have to resolve and do later on in the day, and I cannot stream for too long. So 3 hours is the absolute maximum, okay, Lucas? 3 hours is the absolute maximum. Anything more than that is not possible, at least just for today, okay, Lucas? Just for today. So with that out of the way, I think we should get started. Just again a bit of a fair forewarning. Usually the stream is like at least 4.5 hours. I have to make it 3 just for today, okay? Thank you for your understanding. But before I go and start, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Ring the notification bell button or something's going to happen to you at 3 a.m. tonight. $5 a month. $5 a month. Okay, let's get ready. Okay, let us get ready. Okay. You all probably saw on my expos and on my Facebook posts. You already know what topic we'll be talking about today, don't you? Well, long story short is wrong. I'm seeing a lot of Westerners. The so-called, oh, we care so much for the children. We care so much about them. We care so much about the children that we will invade the privacy of every single adult in the country because of the off chance that the parents don't know how to parent, and the parents begged us. Oh, the parents begged us, begged for government. You have to understand. You regular everyday people, you peasants, you have to understand. The parents begged us. They begged us, the government, to help them. They beg us to help them. Don't you understand? Don't you understand? Don't you understand? They need this. They need this so much. How can we, as responsible government, not give them what these parents want? to take care of their children for them, and if by taking care of children it also means taking care of the adults. Don't you understand? Let's get started. This is a new PowerPoint. I made this PowerPoint for this stream. I will try to get through it within 3 hours. Hopefully I can get through it within 3 hours. So let's get started. We'll start off with what's the current plans in the Western world? Well, we already know about the UK Online Safety Act, don't we? All those serious so-called rules. We saw how it's doing wonders in the UK, don't we? We see that happening, don't we? And now, of course, Australia has their own little jab at it, which will be happening in December. I've also taken a liberty to inspect the Australian policy. I don't know if it is a silver lining, I don't know if it's just some way of cope or some way to dodge the backlash, but the policy says ID verification should not be the only avenue of verification for accessing social media. Now, I don't know how true that is. So, assuming you can trust the government properly, your options include government issued ID, selfie, video selfie, the classic, scan your face, see whether your facial structure resembles an adult or a child, or the credit card pinging thing. Get an adult's credit card, fill in the details, get it pinged for $0, and if the card is valid, it assumes you're an adult. I guess it kind of works, I guess. But EU has the worst one by far. The worst one was EU by far, and they're pushing this hard. Mandatory scanning of all encrypted chats. Mandatory to so-called protect the children. Alright, that's a little bit of a taste. I'm sure of you have been on X or Facebook long enough or watched YouTube videos enough to understand what I'm talking about. All of this online safety, quote-unquote online safety, that for some reason only primarily targets adults. And the protection of the children is just a byproduct. The same goes for, funnily enough, the same goes for Australia. EU and Australia, they have some of the most thoughtful consumer laws imaginable, but everything else is, oh my god, I don't know. How do you come up with this idea? But anyway, like I said, key features. Mandatory verification for websites deemed adult, either deemed adult or social media in the case of Australia. So government issued ID, video selfie, credit card pinging, that was what I just said just now. And then, of course, their UK is pushing that digital ID nonsense. Of course, they claim is for two reasons. One is to protect the children, and secondly, the immigration issue. I query why they choose this type of approach to so-called control the uncontrolled immigration. All they had to do was to just, well, fan the boats back. Literally. Or find some processing center in a different country. That's all they had to do, but oh no, you need your digital ID. Those who arrive by boats, welcome, welcome. And of course, the banning of social media for 16-year-olds and under in Australia. Now, I'm sure we can all agree on principle. Keeping 16-year-olds and younger away from social media is a very good idea and a healthy idea. But the problem is how they go about it. It's always how they go about it. It's always how they go about it. Let's continue. Like I say, all of the privacy invasion stuff is their approach to going about all of this problem. And evidently, it's not very popular. So you have things like, repealing the Online Safety Act. Of course, they say shut up. UK, of course, they say shut up. Of course they would. And then you have the case of the so-called E-Safety Commissioner of Australia. I'm sure you all remember her by name very well. Her name is plastered everywhere publicly. On World Economic Forum, on her own interviews, in the Australian government website, everything. Julie Inman Grant. She has been chased off of X, and the E-Safety Commissioner account has also been chased off of X, and it is a dead account. They know. They know they're not popular. So probably the whole idea, government issue ID the whole so-called government issue ID should not be the only option to verify your age. Probably that policy was created as a response to backlash. But of course, it's up to the Australians to see how well all these options work. Let's move on to the next. These are not the important parts. These are just setting the scene. We go to the real problem. All of this goes back to a simple problem. There is a simple problem, and make no mistake, I hope more lurkers are here for this. I hope more lurkers are here for this because this is absolutely important, especially those who have kids. Especially those who have kids. Let me just try this again. Now, what is the biggest problem? It's very simple. There are a few sayings in Asian culture, and some of them are in relation to parenting. One of them, ask very simple questions or make very simple observations. If a kid is bad, start by looking at their parents. If you want to see why things have gotten this bad, look to the source. The parents. There's a saying in Asian culture. If a kid is bad, if a kid is horrible, terrible, misbehaves all the time, causes problems, or goes to prison, yes, on one hand, blame the kids for their bad behaviors, but on the other hand, most of the blame goes to the parents. Most of the blame goes to the parents and how well they taught their kid, they guided their kid, they nurtured their kid, they cared for their kid. And this is gonna get very serious. I have done research and I've rediscovered things and discovered things. And one of the things that I really thoroughly discovered is that, well, lurkers, especially those in the West, even if you don't have kids or you have kids, it doesn't matter. Understand one thing. The reason the government was able to do the things they do, other than, of course, them being power-hungry tyrants for most part, is the other half of the story. The parents who begged for government to do these things and gave them the blessing and the endorsement to do all these things, they are your problem. They are the real problem. It is them. They are so incompetent as parents. They are so lazy. They are so selfish. They are so narcissistic as parents. They neglect their own children. And as they neglect their own children, they beg for government to do their job for them. And I'm going to show you a few examples that I have found. And just so you know, these are considered so-called mainstream thoughts in Western countries, okay? Mainstream thoughts. Literally mainstream thoughts. And I'll show you why. First one, 2 books. The first book, a so-called New York Times bestseller. New York Times bestseller. You have to understand this because New York Times bestseller. Which means it is a mainstream book. A lot of mothers and parents bought it. And they think it's a good book and they think and they agree with it. Make no mistake and understand this, okay? So this is a book from Jennifer Senior, titled All Joy and No Fun, The Paradox of Modern Parenthood, okay? So the argument that this woman makes in this book is dumbed down to these key points to the right. I'll read it out. While kids deliver profound long-term joy, such as legacy, such as meaning in your life, the daily grind of parenting erodes quote-unquote fun and personal happiness. You see, this is starting to become a problem, don't you get it? This is starting to become a problem, Marcus. Parents report lower life satisfaction than child-free adults with exhaustion from constant duties like scheduling and emotional labor. I ask you this question, Western parents. I ask you this question. And pardon my lack of courtesy, but what the fuck were you expecting? What were you expecting? Huh? What were you expecting? No, seriously, tell me, what were you expecting? What were you expecting? Your child, like those child beauty pageants, like those child drag queens on the left and on the right? Your children are your trophies, is that all? Is that what you see it as? You understand. You should understand your reality the moment you decide to have a son or a daughter. You should understand it. Let me finish, because we'll get to important points later. It positively spins reclaiming adult time such as hobbies, sleep, and spontaneity as essential to avoid resentment. How about this? Here's a thought, Western parents. Have you ever considered just not have children until you know these are expected of you? Have you considered that? Have you considered that? No, seriously, have you considered that? Noting the arrival of children has meant a sharp uptick in happiness, followed by 8 years later by a comparable sharp downturn. You have to prepare for that. If you lack the willpower, you lack the mental fortitude and the physical strength to have a children, don't have children. Don't make us adults who don't have children and who mind our own business, don't drag us down with you because you can't take responsibility for your decisions. Let's continue. Another book. This is another book. From Selfish Reasons to Have More Kids, Why Being a Great Parent is Less Work and More Fun Than You Think. I am starting to suspect again, this is ominous. The title of this book is extremely ominous. We will go through. This illustrates to you the type of parenting in the Western countries that created the reason for things, the excuse for things like the Online Safety Act to exist. Make no mistake. Make no mistake. It's because of this mindset that the government can use the excuse or think of the children for the Online Safety Act. All these privacy invasions is because of the Western parenting style. And I am very willing to blame them, to blame the Western parenting style on this. Let's read this book. The key findings of this book. Brian Kaplan used twin studies to claim upbringing has minimal long-term impact on kids' outcome, IQ and income, okay, fine. So parents overinvest time and effort needlessly, and here comes the problem. They are excusing a parent to be lazy. They are making excuses for parents to be lazy and irresponsible narcissists. We'll continue. It's less work if you relax rules and enjoy kids more casually. And that is the source of your problem. That is the key point of this problem. That is the source of the problem. Aglai, thank you for your sub. That is the source of the problem. That is the source of the problem. Make no mistake, that single half sentence is the source of every problem that comes with privacy invasion and online safety. It is less work if you relax the rules and enjoy kids more casually. That is the biggest problem. And that is why things like Australia's policy is coming, and that is why UK's policy became a thing, and that is why certain states in America are trying to push this because of this mindset. It's less work if you relax rules and enjoy kids more casually. That is the problem. Let's finish this. Frame selfish choices. Example, more kids for parental delight, not sacrifice, as a win-win. A child is helped the most if they are in a positive atmosphere. What is a positive atmosphere? So-called economists. What is the positive atmosphere? Neglect? Letting your kids do anything they want? And if they make a mistake, just give them a little a little slap on the wrist and say, oh, it's fine, just make sure you don't do it again next time, okay? Is that positive atmosphere? Letting your kids make mistake after mistake after mistake without course correcting? Is that positive atmosphere to you? But once overparenting sours that vibe. A child is helped the most if they're in a positive atmosphere, but once overparenting sours that vibe, so fucking what? Your child is your responsibility. For as long as they are under 18, they are your responsibility, full stop. No buts, no ifs, no caveats. Encourages ditching guilt for me-focused boundaries like less homework oversight. This is your problem. This is your problem. And this angered me when I found out. You disgust me, Western parents. You disgust me. You sicken me. Do you understand that? I don't know if any Western parents end up watching this stream. I doubt they will. If they think like this, I just want to let you know you disgust me. You underestimate the actual impact of these books on culture? No. These are the social norms of Western countries' parenting style. They are bestsellers. They are considered preeminent authorities on parenting, on the modern parenting. Make no mistake about that, Zevok. Make no mistake about that. I see its effects. The parents neglect the children makes mistakes, access sites they should not be accessing, put themselves at risk, and then they beg on their knees for government to say, please be a tyrant and control our kids. And the government does it with a smile on their face. It will be our pleasure to control your kids for you. All with the little fine print at the bottom. We will also control every adult in the country too. But hey, we will control your kids for you. The price is every other adult in the country's privacy. The price is every other adult's ability to do the things they want to do in their own private time, and it's legal. Now, this is the worst one. It's an article. It is an article, and this is the absolute worst one. You thought these two are bad? Wait till you see number 3. This is vile. Okay? It is vile. It is disgusting. It is abhorrent. And it is putrid. Okay? It is absolutely putrid and disgusting. And I'll read the next slide and you'll understand why. We'll read it together. We will read it together. Read the headline. Parent Trap. Why the cult of the perfect mother has to end. Let's read the one below. Worldwide mothers are overworked, underpaid, often lonely, and made to feel guilty about everything from epidurals to bottle feeding. Fixing this is the unfinished work of feminism. What the fuck? Let's I wrote a summary of this article. Roughly, and let's have a read together, and then I'll give my opinion. Bloods, intensive motherhood, for example, constant availability, no epidurals and breaks, as a feminist betrayal that leaves moms exhausted, underpaid, and lonely. Half-faced mental issues post-birth. Positively reframe self-care and time away as anti-victimhood. Quote Simone de Beauvoir that total self-sacrifice enables to assume the role of victim, harming kids more than aggressive displays from rested parents. Calls for ditching perfection to reclaim personal life, positioning as empowerment as not selfishness. And you tell me that Westerners are not the problem. The Western parent model is not the problem. It is one thing to say you want to neglect your child because you are a self-interested, selfish, self-centered, immature adult. That's one thing. It's understandable. People are flawed, and some people are more flawed than others. It's understandable. But it's a completely different matter to pass off your negligence, pass off your incompetence, and pass off your laziness and selfishness as a good thing. To pass it off as some kind of a social justice. This is what I have to. This was why I made the post I did yesterday. I'll show you the post I made. This was why I made this post yesterday. I'm continuing to dig and compile more of my research on tomorrow's topic, and I can feel my rage and anger building, and I can say for certain, you are the problem, Western parents. You are the problem. The modern Western parenting model, you are the problem. And if you support it and you emulate this, you are the reason things became as bad as they did. You are the reason the online safety act became a thing. You are the reason other adults, including you, are losing privacy. You are the reason the government can watch your every move, every second of the day, and arrest you for saying the wrong things, or arrest you for doing the wrong things that are not illegal, by the way. It's just they do not like it. You cannot change my mind on this. I have seen enough. The Western model is a failure. It is such a resounding failure. It has caused so much harm, not to the kids themselves, but of course they are the first ones. They are the first victims of all of this, but everyone around them become victims. I would like to say, it skirts the line of evil. Look at the outcome it has created. Look at what we have been talking about on X and on Facebook day after day after day. Always that new chat monitoring, always that new facial surveillance, always that new ID verification for a specific website, always the bans. Why? Why do you think that all of this happened? Why do you think all of this happened? Because of parents who think like this. They do not deserve to have their children. What good? What good is the worry, the concern, the panic for an aging population and lower birth rates if you're giving birth to children and you neglect them so much they lose their way? What is the point? Seriously, what is the point? And this is partially the reason that I have to question that whole make sure to marry and reproduce. It's not that simple. It's not that simple. As you can see in the last few slides, it is not that simple. The reason the marry and reproduce slogan is so effective in Asian countries is because Asian parents understand the responsibilities of having a child the moment they have a child, on average. And on average, the Western parents, not very much. They adopt this Western modern parenting. Do not police your children. Do not observe them for most of the time they are awake. Do not do this, do not do that. Give them freedom. Give them all the freedom they want. Look how that happened. Look what has happened. Yeah. You're framing it as if, oh, you're doing so right. You're framing it as, oh, you're such a good parent. You're giving your child the time he or she wants. Their me time. Oh, their me time. It's just the perfect excuse for you to laze around and become the irresponsible parent. It's just that simple. We'll talk about the Asian parenting a little later, okay? For now, I think I have expressed my opinion clear enough. We will move to the next slide. Basically, me paraphrasing what I just said just now. My rant for the last few minutes. You were incompetent. You are the problem, the modern Western parent. You were incompetent, lazy, negligent, and selfish. You are taking shortcuts and now you beg government to do your job for you. This is my warning. This is my warning. Take it or leave it, it's my opinion. Having a child is more than a full-time job. It demands your 100% at all times, 24/7 for at least 18 years. At least 18 years. It's not the lazy parents who asked for government policing. It is the lazy parents who gave the perfect excuse for government policing. If there were no lazy parents, if there were no parents who are so culturally compromised, culturally and socially compromised, that they treat their children as glorified trophies, and they neglect them, give them a smartphone, give them an iPad, and then just let them mind their own business, things wouldn't have gotten as bad as it did, and you wouldn't have Karens or Kyles complaining about it to government, asking for more control, asking them to exert more control on the population. All because of all because the kids have bad parents. There is a phrase in Asian culture, specifically Chinese culture, that I feel is very, very important for every parent to understand. It does not matter if you're a parent from Asia or you are a parent from the Western countries. It does not matter. There is one very important phrase. Okay? If a child lives to the age of 100 years, the parent, for as long as they live, will worry about their child for 99 years. That is the ultimate meaning of parenthood. That is the ultimate goal of parenthood. It never ends. That's the point. For even a brief second, you are not allowed as a parent to stop being a parent. Never. This is something you have to understand. Never ever. If your child lives till he's 100 years old, and if God willing, you survive as long as them, you will worry for them for as long as you live and they are alive. That is the statement. That is the meaning of that phrase. For as long as you're alive for 100 years, I will worry for you for 99 years. It's a figure of speech, but I hope you'll get the meaning. No need to get into pedantism. My goodness, it was this is pretty. I'm already getting worked up. We'll get back to this later. I know. I already see some Western parents. If they saw my brand, they saw my... And yes, I will say this very clearly to some of the Western parents who adopt this model of parenting. I am insulting you. And I'm within my right to insult you, and I feel I am justified to insult you. Because I saw enough. I saw enough. And if you're by chance seeing this, you're going to say, oh, big words from you, Ban Min. Big words from you, Ban Min. What do you suggest? What do you suggest? How could we do any better, Ban Min? We are only human. How could we do any better? Oh, I don't know. I don't know at all. I don't know at all. Zephyr, I've seen here around my area, parents are involved in raising their children's kids. The kids are about 20 plus years old. There is a saying, also in Asian culture, primarily Asian culture. It does not matter how big you are or how old you are. As long as you are my child, you are my baby. You are my little boy or little girl. That is how a parent, a responsible parent, should see their child as. Their child could be an adult, could be middle-aged, 45 years old, 50 years old. But so long as their mother is still alive or their father is still alive, they will see this 50-year-old or 45-year-old man or woman as their little girl or little boy they help raise. And that is normal. And it should be normal. It should. It should. I'm sorry, but it should. You can call it cringe. You can call it juvenile, you can call it infantilizing, but no. It should be that way. A parent will always see their child as a child. It is normal. It is normal. Do you know the feeling of complete and utter devastation as a father or a mother when they find out their son or their daughter is sent to prison, addicted to something, got scammed out of their entire life fortune because they got swindled by an online crypto website. A proper parent will not only understand their child has gone the wrong direction and are feeling the pains of it, they will feel the pain alongside them. But I think I'm getting a little bit sidetracked. We only have about 2 more hours for this presentation. Let's make sure we get it done in time. So the question is, what should we do, Badmin? What should we do? What should we do? You don't understand, Badmin. We have no other choice. What should we do? Well, what you can. This is what you can do. I'm not gonna stutter. Tiger parenting. I'm not gonna stutter. I'm not gonna stutter. This is literally what you should be doing. The moment you have a child, everyone should be like this. You should. So, I'm going to break it down. I'm going to explain to you in what perspective tiger parenting, okay? There are 2 types. I would say there are 2 ways. There are 2 ways to go about this. For me, I can say I would try and preface this by saying not the entirety of tiger parenting, okay? Not the entirety. I don't think the idea of making your child 100% perfect is the right way to go. That is the first thing I'm going to preface this by saying. Asking your child to be the perfect person is not the way to go. They do not have to play the piano like Mozart. They don't have to play the violin like some professional orchestra. They do not have to get the straight A's on every single conceivable subject. They do not have to get that high-paying job as an investment banker or some high-paying job as a high-powered attorney. That's the type of part that I do not believe is productive for the child. What I do think is productive is in the perspective of the good parts of tiger parenting. And what do I mean by the good parts of tiger parenting? What do I mean by that? The unflinching attention. And this is the good part of tiger parenting. It is okay It is genuinely okay if your child struggles with a subject in school. It is genuinely okay if your child does not have a good skill, does not have the typical good skills that become trophy children. Because, like I say, yes, Western parents do treat their children like trophies sometimes, but Asian parents are also not innocent from this. I see firsthand. They are not innocent from this. They are just the different kinds. They just want different kinds of trophy children. The perfect child, the perfect son, the perfect daughter. The genius, the intelligent, plays the piano like a professional, plays the violin like a professional, knows good poetry, knows how to debate, does every single thing right. No, that is wrong. That part I understand. That part I understand. That is too far. That is too far. So what I'm going to break this down into three key steps. The first one is the personal decisions. The second is the community and cultural reworks. The third is a bit of a fantasy, granted. It's a bit of a fantasy. That's why it is important. Oh, by the way, Namiye. I'm using a font called Perpetua. Permanent. But anyway, community alternative government policies, yes. But this is why making sure you have a government that properly represents your interests, a government that is properly afraid of its own people, is so important. Because if you have a government that is properly representing you, is responsible for your interests, and feels responsible for your interests, and are afraid of your backlash if they ever do things you do not like, that is the secret ingredient to ensuring the government makes the proper policies. But of course, like I said, easier said than done. Now who knows? If a large amount of people unify and protest and exert influence against the government, when they do things that are wrong, who knows? Miracles can happen. But let's break it down in further detail. The personal decisions. The personal decisions, I'm going to play a video, okay? I'm going to play a short. I think I posted it on X a while ago, so I will post it, I will share it here. Because I don't have to say it again, and I've said it before in a previous stream, so I will just show it to you all here. No video games until the holidays. None. Let me see, AF Kitsune. Was it you, AF Kitsune, who said that? I think I am a little bit more extreme than you, AF Kitsune. You know what? You know why I say that? I am of the very firm belief, in my opinion, that kids should not be able to have an iPad or a phone. If you want to go to school, you bring textbooks, you bring exercise books, and you bring workbooks. That is it. That is my belief on... Let me raise the audio a little bit then, okay? Let me raise the audio a little bit. I am of the very firm belief, in my opinion, that kids should not be able to have an iPad or a phone. If you want to go to school, you bring textbooks, you bring exercise books, and you bring workbooks. That is it. That is my belief on kids and electronics. Firmly. And because of that, I don't think when kids do not have iPads and when kids do not have iPhones, you do not have to worry about kids seeing things they should not be seeing too. It is an added bonus. You have kids think about it this way. If you do not give your child an iPad and if you do not give your child a phone, they wouldn't even have Twitter. Also, by the way, I think I should add to that trumpet thank you for the gifted video games and children. If you are a child, go thank trumpet. You can only play video games during the school holidays, not weekends, school holidays. Hypothetically speaking, and I know I'm going to make a lot of people mad, and someone probably is probably going to say that I am some kind of like a tiger mom or something like that. Or hypothetically, if I had a child I need to take care of for years until they are 18 and they can make the decisions they want, here's how I would do it. Mondays to Fridays, your schoolwork, your homework, get it all done first when you finish school. Then, when you're done, you can watch TV. Or you can use my iPad to watch shows that we will watch together. I watch you use that iPad. And when I'm done with using my iPad and we're going to sleep, I'm going to lock my iPad somewhere so that you can't reach it. This will happen until the school holidays or school breaks. 1 or 2 weeks. Then, you can have access to the computer. You can play your video games. You can try to create a social media account. You can try, but good luck trying to access it when school starts again. And just so you know, while you're at school, I'm going to use my computer and see whether you have a social media account set up. And if I see you have a social media account set up, I'm going to delete. Yep. I don't think I have changed my opinion on this part yet. It will take a while, and you have to argue with me properly, but no. I struggle to see. And you know what's even the punchline of it all? This was considered normal. This was considered normal parenting. This was considered normal parenting at the other side of the world. And if some Western parent were to express their shock over this, people will be like, you don't do that? That will literally be their reaction. Okay, sorry. Oh, no, only video games holiday has never been normal, but It was. But here's the simple thing. Here's the very, very simple thing. Kids who play video games, you see them. You see all of those 2010s, the 2009s, Call of Duties, all those kids. They spend hours of the day playing video games, indulging. Every single day. And what happens afterwards? Their schoolwork fumbles. Their schoolwork fumbles not because they do not have the skills or the talents. Their schoolwork fumble because they don't put the time to get it done, to study. The video games is a temptation. Video games is temptation during a school day. Video games is temptation during school days. As a kid, this is a little bit of personal experience, by the way, Lucas. It's a bit of a personal experience. Don't say I am completely out of touch, because I'm expressing this because I have personally felt it. During my holidays, when I was like really, really young, during my holidays when I could play video games during the holidays, it was a really good time. I never raged at a video game. I never got upset. I never got stressed. I just enjoyed it for what it was. And when the school started again, I formed no thoughts about it, because I understood the moment school starts, it is gone. The video game is gone. I will never think about it while in school. I will never long for it. I will never feel like I need to get the next fix, because I know it was impossible. I knew it was impossible. The only way I could get my video games back again was the next holidays. The next 1 week or 2 week break, or the 2-month break for the end of the year. This is a completely different story. Imagine if I could play video games every single day while I was in school. I would think about it every night, every day, every morning, even in school. While I'm doing my classwork, while I'm studying, I'll just think about finding an excuse to get back to my video games. And what will happen? I get distracted. I think about the video games, stressing about it, wanting to move to the next stage. And what happens? Teacher scolds me. You have been distracted. You are too distracted. Why are you causing... Benjamin, you are too distracted. It's affecting your grades. Why are you so weak in this subject? If you are not good in this subject, you should ask questions. Why didn't you ask questions? Things like that would happen. Zavok. To me, they are. Zavok. To you, it may not be, but to me, they are. And to a lot of kids, video games was like the thing. Here's the problem with a lot of you Gen Z and Gen Alpha lurkers, especially Gen Z. Here is the problem with a lot of you Gen Z lurkers. You have been born into an environment where technology is so commonplace and so throwaway. Mogus 7, you don't need to call anyone sick, okay? You don't need to call anyone sick, okay? Because this is purely a case of people being born in different environments, forming different mindsets. Don't need to throw insults at anyone, okay? Okay, Mogus? Promise me don't do that. We are all here to have a proper discussion in good faith and properly. No insults necessary, okay, Mogus? Thank you. Anyway, back to your question, Zavok. This is an issue. This is the inherent byproduct of being born as a Gen Z. This is the inherent byproduct of being born as a Gen Z person. You are born into a world where technology, electronics, and smart devices are commonplace. It is so common. You take it for granted. This is why, because you're born into this generation that has so normalized technology and electronics, you are unable to comprehend how unique an experience video games were. You don't understand. It's just like in the 80s with the Gen Xers. It's just like in the 80s with the Gen X. Or the younger boomers. Arcades were a special thing. It was something that you had to work hard to get the coins. To get the small change to play a round or two of Street Fighter 2. To play a round or two of Double Dragon. Or to play a round or two as a young millennial, play a round or two of House of the Dead 1 or 2. It was a very special moment when you get a chance to play video games. So I do not blame you, Zavod, for not understanding this, because this is something that is understood very clearly by those who are born in those specific generations. And Gen Z, and by extension Gen Alpha this as well, they are plunged into a world that normalizes electronics so well. Video games are even included into the education system off and on. So of course, to you it might sound like, oh, video games is not even a big deal. Why do you perceive it as a big deal? Long story short, it was a big deal, okay? It was a big deal. DZ. But gamifying education is generally positive when done right if it adds problem solving. I do not necessarily disagree with that. If a game was designed from the ground up to educate the child, and it has no internet connectivity whatsoever, and it's just there for the sake of being there to educate the child, then yes. But you know, Lurker-chan, there is one more better option. And we will go through that in detail later. Okay? We'll go through that later. Let's continue. So, like I said, the fundamental rules. Smartphones, personal tablets, no. Video games only on holidays. Unless, and this is a big unless. If you know your child has the self-restraint and self-control of a saint, then you can discuss with your child. Only then. But as a day park, video games only on holidays. That is my suggestion. Alright. So this is a website this is just some resource that I have identified. You can read it at your own time. It is from a website called yourmodernfamily.com, how to limit screen time. And here's the irony. Here's the irony with all of this. Here is the biggest irony with all of this. There is so much resources available from private sectors, from teachers, from educators, from babysitters and all of that. The government could use the lessons conveyed by these professionals and these experienced individuals to form their own policy. But no, they chose the nuclear option. They want to destroy privacy. That they are destroying privacy. They are not taking proper suggestions from people who are well versed in the topic. And this website gives quite important information. Increased fear of anxiety, depression, less creativity, less concentration, reduced physical activity leads to health issues. Behavioral problems, aggression, impulsivity, difficulty regulating emotions. Have we all seen that, or have we all seen that? This is why so many big accounts on X gives the typical designation on their bios, minors D&I. Do not interact if you are a minor. Poor social skills, delays in language development, depression, anxiety, lower cognitive, poorer performance. This is a good starting point, okay? This is a good starting point. This is a good starting point. Under 2 years, and this is the most abhorrent one. This is the most abhorrent one. Some parents allowed their child under the age of 2 to see their tablets for hours. This is important. And this is what a lot of Western parents ignore. They just shove them the iPad for hours on end and do nothing, while they have their me time. Oh, the me time. I need time for myself. Well, here is a cheat code. If you want time for yourself, don't have a child. It's literally that simple. So this is a good resource. This basically just shows you a lot of information on lurkers if you have a young child, a young son or a young daughter. Okay, you have a young son or a young daughter. And for some reason, for some reason, you thought it was a good idea to give a screen to your child, firstly, my first suggestion to you is why, and no, don't do it. But if you had to do it, use this website as a resource, okay? Use this website as a resource. It gives you some it's not fact, it's not 100%, it's not 100% gospel, but it's a good starting point. You know your child the best. You know your child the best. Sergeant, the kids already know how to get around parental control. That's why you need the more direct parental control. Supervising your kids. If your kids are not supervised, no duh, they'll find ways to get past your parental controls. Okay, now let's move on to... I think we are stuck here for some time, and I think a lot of you got the point of this part of the screen. But Benjamin, kids needs a phone. Kid needs phone. Kid needs phone. How to call parents if kids no phone? Of course you need your phone. Of course you should give your kid a phone. Simple. Parental supervision is difficult when both parents are working adults. Well, they should have thought about that, shouldn't they? They should have thought about that before they actually had a child, shouldn't they? I'm sorry. They literally should have thought about that when they had a child. Having a child is more important than a full-time job. More. Not less, more. If you're going to have a child, one parent has to stay at home to watch after the child. No buts, no ifs. And if they can't afford it, why? Why have a child if they cannot afford it? I'm sorry, Saojun, if I sound a little agitated, but that is a question that I feel they need to answer for themselves. Government baby bonuses. The government is complicit. The government is complicit. The government is complicit. But this is one of the things that I actually see again. Again, it's very odd. I go to this site. I'll show you this site. Again, you know what's the punchline? This is an Australian campaign. This is an Australian campaign. And the campaign is literally this simple. Kids should not have iPhones until they are closer to adulthood, when they have the maturity and wisdom to use it properly. That is the campaign. If Australian government had the proper priorities, they will use this campaign as a guideline for their policies. But they don't. They resort to the social media ban. They resort to the ID verification. They resort to the privacy things. They don't. All they have to do is encourage parents to be parents and discourage parents to fall undershot. This is a very good website as well. It's a very, very good website. It gives government a lot of... It gives the government a lot of resources and information. It gives the government a lot of information and a lot of guides to properly implement a more specific and more effective policy for the entire population without undermining their core freedoms and privacy rights. Again, the reasoning is very simple. You will not have to worry about your child going to a website they are not supposed to go if they do not have a phone or a tablet capable of accessing the internet properly. It is just that simple. It is just that simple. The government is already spending obscene amounts of money to implement all these privacy invasion policies and forcing social medias to ban things to implement privacy invasion policies like ID verification. They can sure as hell spend a fraction of their money in making this policy government endorsed. But they do not. They do not. They won't. Interesting how they will not do something that is at a fraction of a cost. That is at a fraction of a cost. But they will spend all that money to implement surveillance systems. Now, I'm sure we know why they want to do it. I'm sure we know exactly why they had to do it. By the way, OP, my first smartphone, OP. You would not believe it. My first smartphone was when I entered university. And it was a hand-me-down. Think about that, OP. My first smartphone was when I entered university. And even then I didn't buy a smartphone. I was given an old one by someone who had a better one. I do not know why governments completely gloss over this important website. It is a good website to explain how to properly keep children away from websites they should not be using. Keep children away from social media. This has the guidelines. Just don't give kids a phone capable of accessing websites or social media, and the problem fixes itself. Of course, you need to have good parenting and you have to supervise them and teach them too. But the problem would largely fix itself. So, like I said, this one is important. If you want to be a bit more fancy for your kids, you want to give your kids a little bit more something fancy, there's modern alternatives. Literally, there's modern alternatives. You want to give your kids something fancy? These are called dumb phones. And they are dumb phones, but they are the phones that a kid should only have. They are the type of phones that kids should only have access to. And it's for, yes, fraction of a cost. An iPhone costs like what? $3,000? $2,000? A phone like this? $200. This reminder, I guess, back in the early 2010s and the 2000s, these phones were the norm. No one gave a shit. No one gave a crap that their phone couldn't access the internet. No one gave a crap that the only games they had on their phone was the ones that came with it. So yes, first part, personal decisions, extremely important. I remember back in the old days, the only games you really had were Snake or that weird Space Invader type thing that was like pretty fun for a bit. But yeah, let's move on to the next slide. This is another important part. Community and cultural reworks. This one is, I think this is for all of the talks about freedoms in Western countries and individualism in Western countries, which I also admire. There are some things that I believe, that I sincerely believe, requires a more community, cultural, societal focused touch. And this is in regards to education. This is in regards to education. Firstly, I remember Lerku-chan talking to me about the whole video games to improve education. Yes. But you know what? There is one better option. Way better option than any form of electronics for education. Writing. Here's my idea, my opinions. Bring back traditional schooling. Go to school with a textbook, with a notebook, and with a workbook. The big three. Bring your pens and your pencils and just write. Just write. And on the off chance then something requires electronics, whether it's a tablet or a PC or whatever, make it a parent collaborative effort. Parent-sponsored school electronics. Electronics pre-programmed by schools for kids who need electronics for specific learning. And three, parents observe their children, they supervise their children, they make sure the children never make the wrong decisions when they're at home and out of school. But on school, it is the responsibility of the school and the responsibility of the teachers. And we will delve deep. This is just a overarching part, but we will delve a little deeper. So this is traditional. I will preface this by saying, Lyricus, you are not alone on this part. I hate writing. I hate textbooks. I hate workbooks. No denying that. When I experienced them, they were hell. But it's undeniable that they are the best avenue for learning. It may not be the most glamorous, it may not be the most flashy, it may not be the most fun. But who said that the main priority of education is fun? Who said that? Fun is something that you implement after you have a robust education system. So, why do I say that the traditional written methods are beneficial? Traditional workbooks, exercise books, pen and pencil. So, it is basically like a to Z type of thing, a bit of an A to Z type of thing. So it's like this, it causes this effect, that effect, that effect. So I'll read out what I wrote, what I have basically found out. And also based on my own personal experiences. The benefit is that when you write something, think about it this way. It improves learning due to many parts of the brain activating to retain a specific form of information via reading and writing. So I want you to think about it this way, okay? When you're writing, your hand physically moves. Your brain has to physically process to your hand to write specific letters, specific numbers, specific text. You form words. You form letters to form words. You form words to form specific meanings. The meanings itself is the information. And if the information is a lesson to be learned, you have already done all of the legwork towards comprehending the information. Therefore, it's easier to learn the lesson. Do you understand what I mean, lurkers? Do you understand what I mean? Do you understand what I mean? Writing something takes active mental investment. Your brain itself stimulates. It stimulates and the words form in your head as you write them out, because if your words do not form in your head, you're unable to write it out. Your hand moves, so you retain the memory of what you're writing. Like I said, the letters form into words, the words form into meanings, the meanings form into information, and if the information is a lesson to be learned, you learn the lesson faster. I'm thinking of a good analogy. It's just like, think about it this way. You know all those projects where it starts off with like micro steps? So for instance, let's say you are, for animal purposes, let's say you are like building a town or building some town in like a city simulator, okay? Like a city sim or something like that. You start with like a neighborhood. You start small. That's your immediate goal. Your first immediate goal is you build a house. Then after that, you build a neighborhood. After that, you build a suburb territory. After that, you build different zones, like an industrial zone and a business zone or an entertainment zone or a commerce zone. Then after that, you build a political zone like a city hall or something like that. And then at the very end, at the top level, it says you have completed building a city. Imagine if from the very beginning all the game tells you is just build a city, nothing else. Let's say the first time you played a simulator game, a city simulator game, think about it this way, they just said build a city. How are you even going to start? What do you start with? That is the same logic in my head with writing. As you are forming the words in your head as you write it down, you are already on your way to reaching the ultimate goal. And that ultimate goal is learning that specific lesson that you are supposed to learn. And this is something that typing does not do properly. When you're typing words on the keyboard, memory retention does not work as well. It does not. It does not. Yes, typing does improve efficiency, but learning is not about being efficient. Learning is about being effective. You understand that? And this is something that I do not understand how certain schools and educators are incapable of understanding. I don't know why they are so incapable of understanding something so simple. School is not meant to be efficient. School is meant to be effective. And the good shot, don't take my word for it. I took a look at these specific studies. To form it. Sure enough, part of it is my opinion, but I've taken the extra step in ensuring that my opinions are founded by proper research as well. These are the sources for what I just said right there. It's not just opinion. Well, it's not just my opinion. It is my opinion alongside the opinions of many people who have studied this phenomenon. Writing is distinctively better at memory retention and information retention than typing. Do you understand that? I hope you understand that. You are all free to verify what I just said. You check this specific bibliography, the source down here. So, NTNU Brain Connectivity Study, Vinci Wilbert et al., Ongoing NTNU Research, Psychological Science, Muller and Oppenheimer, 2014. NIH Brain Activation Comparison at Tag Learning Behaviors Report. Those are the sources. You can pause the stream at this part if you are actually curious enough to dig into it, okay? But we're moving on to the next part. Okay. But even if, for argument's sake, let's say, I don't know why. My God, I'm getting tired, but anyway, I want to finish this. Let's just say that schools, in their stubbornness to progress, quote unquote, they still want to go all in on the technology aspect of education. Before we go to that, I'll tell a little bit of a personal story. I still remember vividly. Lurkers, just because I tell you all these things does not mean I love it, okay? Lurkers, I hated all these things about school. The physical writing, the workbooks, the exercise books, every damn thing. But hating it does not mean I do not appreciate the impact it has given to my education. That is a whole different story. And that is something I cannot deny it from my education. I cannot deny them that. To deny it would to be unfair to them. But here's a bit of a personal horror story, okay? I studied in a type of school where you had extremely thick